This is a look at one way you can set up collaborative tutoring. Our essential question is, how can collaboration groups work to help students help each other in an authentic way? We're going to look at 3 questions. What does collaborative tutoring look like? What is the role of the student presenter? And what is the role of the student tutors? First, what does it look like? Let's get set up. Students will need to bring paper for 3-column notes, writing materials, pen, pencil, ruler, highlighter, etc., and supplies for the course, such as textbook, class notes, assignments or homework, calculators, formula sheets, and data booklets, and anything else you might need to answer your questions. Other materials you will need are a board of some kind. You can use a whiteboard easel or a classroom board, something to write on the board with, such as whiteboard markers or chalk, and you need to arrange the desks and chairs in a circle around the board. That might look a little something like this, with a whiteboard easel and some desks, or perhaps a circular table with chairs set up and a classroom board. Either way, as long as you have students sitting in a circle and a board for one student to stand at, you're all set. Here's an overview of the process. A group of 4 to 6 students sit in a circle with their materials ready. One student, the student presenter, writes a question on the board. The student tutors, those sitting in the circle, ask guiding questions to help the presenter answer his or her problem. And when they think they've got it figured out, the tutors check for understanding. Finally, the process repeats with a new presenter until everyone has had a turn. The role of the student presenter is to first bring an authentic question. This means something you are genuinely confused about or a question that is new to you. You write your question on the board. You briefly outline what you know about the question, and then you ask the group, what questions do you have for me to help me answer this problem? Remember to record your thinking on the board. The role of the student tutors is to first take 3-column notes, which look a little bit like this. You can set up your own notes or use a template like this one. The first column is for the student's name and their original question. The middle column is for notes that match the board work the student does at the board. And the final column is where you identify and label the steps that correspond to the notes. This can be tricky in something like English or social studies, so you may want to just comment on the thinking that went behind each part of the process, whereas in math and science, labeling steps tends to be easier. Here's a sample of a page of 3-column notes from collaborative tutoring. Note that the person presenting at the board won't have a record of their work unless one of the student tutors takes notes for them. Another option is that the student presenter could take a picture of the board with their phone before they erase it. As long as they have a record, you're set. Another role of the student tutor is to ask questions that guide the presenter through their problem on the board. But how do you ask a guiding question? First, let's look at some things not to do. Please do not steal the presenter's aha moment. We want them to be able to answer their genuine question with a genuine understanding. Do not teach or show the presenter what to do. Do not give the answer. And do not ask leading questions, such as, don't you think that should be a 0? So what can you do? Please do refer the presenter back to their notes, examples, prior knowledge, the textbook. Please do ask the presenter to try different strategies and remind them to record their thinking on the board. Do ask if the presenter knows how to answer a simpler question or one that is similar to their question. You can find these strategies and a variety of other possible questions on the handout called Guiding Questions to Ask as a Student Tutor, which looks like this. It also includes some questions you can ask to check for understanding, which is your final responsibility as a student tutor. One way to check for understanding is to remind the presenter to go over the question again and ask them to explain and identify the steps that they used to get the answer. Remember to record these steps on your 3-column notes. And now we repeat the process. Once one presenter is done, a new student goes to the board and becomes the presenter. You repeat this process until everyone has had a turn. Let's recap. A small group of students sit in a circle with their materials ready. One student becomes the presenter and writes a question on the board. The other students ask guiding questions to help the presenter answer the problem. The tutors check for understanding before moving on, and when the presenter understands their problem, the process repeats with a new presenter until everyone has had a turn. Happy collaborating!